Hello everybody, welcome back, and I am the Charnica. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about Lance versus Diantha. Yes, this episode was packed full of content that we got to delve right into and talk about, because there is a lot that I kind of want to nitpick at and express my feelings and thoughts about. So let's kind of get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. So, first off, this battle was already better than Alon versus Leon. I give it that because that was abysmal. Dude, these are Master 8 battles. These should be the best battles ever in the history of Pokemon, right? These are the top 8 trainers, the strongest in the world. And you expect a little bit more, not one-hit KO battles and just disgrace and ugly treatment being done to certain characters. You know, you want to see these champion caliber trainers really show their strength and why they're there. Now this episode, this battle, was better at doing that. Lance, he's this kind of champion that is focused on brute force, these powerful moves that he could rip someone to shreds in like 1 or 2 hits because that's how powerful his Pokemon are. They're durable as heck, they hit hard, whereas Diantha, she focuses more on setups. You know, it's kind of like a chess game to her. You know, she sets things up, she's a little bit more strategic with the way that she fights. And you got to kind of see the different kinds of champion personalities there, like why they're champions and why they're there. I mean, Lance straight up he's just powerful. You know, like he has some strategy, but he relies more on brute force. You know, he's just overly powerful and overwhelming. And that showed throughout this episode that even though Diantha was smart and strategic and putting on performance and whatnot with her battle, sometimes that brute force is it's too overwhelming, and even your setups can't stop the overwhelming amount of force and power coming from these top tier Pokemon. But at the very beginning of this episode, Lance and Diantha were basically giving a shout out to their respective regions. I mean, after all, they're the representatives, right? You know how Ash would be like the representative of Alola, right? Well, Lance and Diantha were trying to be an inspiration to all their fellow trainers back home in their respective regions, which was a nice touch, and we got to see some cameos that we did not expect to see. We saw Richie, which is, to me, completely out there more than all the others, but we saw Shauna, we saw Tierno, we saw Trevor, and Sawyer also watching the TV. That was awesome. So you kind of really know that this is a wrap-up to all of Ash's journey up till now. All these trainers that we knew of in his past are returning in some sort of fashion, even if it's just staring at a TV, which makes me believe that the Steven versus Ash battle, May and Max are probably going to be watching the TV. I don't know if they'll actually show up, but they have to at least have like a quick appearance of them watching the television, you know what I mean? They don't even have to talk, kind of like how the Marin and, you know, situation was with Alon. They don't even have to talk, they just have to, like, maybe you could see them happy and cheering on Ash and all that. But that was a really nice touch. I really like that. I mean, after all, even in the real world with like the Olympics or like the World Cup or something like that, you know, those sports, those athletes that go and perform it, they're representing for the entire country that they're coming from. So that's kind of like what all these trainers are doing. After all, they are the representative. They're trying to inspire the people back in their respective country or region. So I really, really did like that. Now, Lance, his Gyarados dying as quick as it did was kind of sad to see, but again, that wasn't really his ace. It's Dragonite. Dragonite is Lance's ace. So seeing Dynamax Dragonite was really, really cool. And how he took all those like enormous Mega Evolution Moonblasts, direct hits and all that, and shrugged them off. Blizzard and all sorts of damage that he took, and you could see how durable Lance's Pokemon were. Rip Gyarados, who got taken out in 2 hits though. But Diantha used Gourgeist, which I was really happy that Jessie like reacted to that, because Jessie caught a Gourgeist back in X and Y, right? So that was really cool that, you know, Jessie was now cheering on Diantha because of the, you know, the Pokemon choice that she had. And that the flashback in reference to Jessie's Gourgeist, that was a nice touch. But in the end, Diantha ended up winning this battle. I kind of feel really bad for Lance because, I mean, he came into this being the king, right? Everyone considered him the strongest trainer in the world because he won the world tournament in some other kind of league. Now, this was when he battled Leon, it was the finals in the previous season, or the series of the Masters 8, right? So obviously, Lance made his way to the finals there, and fought Leon, but Leon ended up winning, so Lance at that time would have been considered the second strongest. But previously, he was seen as like the king of Pokemon battling because he won a world tournament, what would have been the equivalent of it. So that's why he was considered the strongest. No one thought that Lance could possibly be defeated and all that. But then Leon comes around for the Masters 8 and beats him in the finals. So with that, it kind of gives respect to Lance. They also show how powerful he is with his brute force tactics. But it's kind of baffling to see that Leon's Charizard could one-shot Alon's Charizard, and yet all these 2 times super effective moves that he was dealing out against Gyarados in the Lance versus Leon battle, like, he was able to tank so much of that, and then he gets 2-shotted by Gourgeist again in the Diantha battle. It just, the power scaling and the reasoning and like things just are a little too crazy. They don't really make much sense, and these are the little nitpicks I have about this episode. This episode also, with the battles, you were expecting with, you know, a champion versus champion fighting each other, you would expect that the animation quality would be even better, and it wouldn't be so linear and typical of like the game representation of Pokemon battles, because they didn't really move around a lot. I mean, it was very direct with all the attacks. Like, no moving side to side. It was all just linear across the entire battle. Like, they weren't really dodging too much. They really weren't moving around the battlefield. They were just kind of statues for most of it. And so I felt a little cheap there, because they just weren't moving around like you thought they would be, considering they're fighting the best of the best, right? There's nothing like too crazy. But with that said, congratulations to Diantha. I mean, she's been given some love here, and being able to beat Lance and show that she, deserves to be a champion, that she's powerful, that she has this amazing strategic mind, that, you know, she views Pokemon battles like performances. And it was nice to see, like, Leon even make a comment about that and say that he can't wait to perform with her out there in the semifinals. So that was a nice touch. Also, I really like the fact that Alon didn't just up and vanish. Like, the writers actually kept him in. And Alon actually has some comments, too, about the battles. And it's really cool that even after these fights, these trainers are still having interactions with the others. And they're going back down to the locker room, right, and hanging out with the other champions to watch the next battle coming up. I think that's awesome. I think that's amazing. Now, I wish Ash would go down there and talk to them more, to be honest. Like, it's cute that he wants to sit with his friends, but at the same time, it's like, we want to see Ash interacting with the other champions down there. He interacted with Lance for, like, a brief couple lines of dialogue in this episode, which was nice. Lance being a very noble and respectful champion, you know, to both Diantha and Ash in this instance, her strengths, and not being too bummed about it. I mean, same thing with the whole Leon battle that he had in the beginning of the season. He was very nice about the situation. He wasn't, like, mad or anything like that. So I do like that about Lance. But I want to see more interactions like that. I want to see champions talking to each other, or talking about the battles between the other champions. But I did really like the fact that Alon's not leaving. He's still there. He's in the locker room talking still with the other champions. And that's just really, really cool to see. I'm really, really happy with that, because I was worried that after Alon's, you know, battle, he was going to vanish. But luckily, that's not the case. He's sticking around. He's going to hopefully, like, watch the rest of it. Same with the rest of the champions. Now, Iris is next. I love Iris's overconfidence, how she told Ash that she's going to win a battle before him. Like, she's confident that she's going to win against Cynthia. So that was kind of cute. I like that. Again, we don't really know if it's confirmed yet, but we're pretty sure that Iris is going to lose this fight. But it is cute to see that she's so confident. I mean, after all, she's a champion. She has as good as a chance as any to win this whole thing. I mean, top 8 strongest trainers. I mean, you have to be confident in yourself if you're that freaking powerful. So that's what we're going to see in the next fight. Looks like Cynthia is going to be using all of her Pokemon, just like Iris. So Iris is at least going to give Cynthia a run for her money, if anything. I think it would be really cool to see Iris win. But I know there's a lot of, like, fans out there that would be pissed. A lot of Cynthia fans out there that would be livid if Iris ends up proving superior to Cynthia. But poor Iris, man, just like Lance, come just like Alon, come into this series just to get shafted and jobbed and get hit and defeated. Like, poor those characters, right? Same thing with Steven, I guess, because if Steven ends up losing, it's kind of, oh, wow. But at least it's only like one loss, technically, you know what I mean? Whereas like Iris comes in to lose twice. Alon gets disrespected and Lance loses twice. But anyway, that battle looks like it's gonna be more heavy on the animation and look a lot better. I'm hoping that we get to see some other companions show up. I hope Silence shows up for that episode. Even if it's at least him on the TV watching. I had another idea where Serena would show up. Like, you know how like there's halftime shows like Super Bowl, right? And there's like a halftime show or whatnot. Maybe Serena's idol group shows up and they perform halfway through the Masters 8 tournament. I think that would be freaking fantastic. If I was a writer, that's what I would do. I think the fandom would just go crazy if that happened. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all my thoughts about this episode. We have a lot more stuff coming. Oh my goodness, this Masters 8, man, is crazy. How do you feel about this Lance versus Diantha episode? How do you feel about the Masters 8 going forward? Who do you think is going to win between Iris and Cynthia? Ash and Steven? What kind of cameos do you think are going to pop up? I mean, after seeing the fact that Sawyer and the rest of the XY group and Richie even showing up in this episode, I think that really clarifies that we could get anything in this tournament. Journeys relies heavily on these cameos, heavily on the content of the past. Anyway, guys, I love your faces. Can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Subscribe if you have not yet. Follow me on Twitter if you have not yet. I love your faces. And peace off. Thank you very much.